Hey, hey, welcome everybody. Welcome to the third in our series of live stream demo classes. We've been calling them pop-up classes. And I'm very, very excited to have our auto tech instructor, auto tech fundamentals, Mr. Bill Park. Say hi, Mr. Park.
Hello, everybody.
Mr. Park, what are we going to be doing today?
Today, I'm going to show you a safety inspection on a 2008 Toyota Prius.
Ooh, fancy. All right, very cool.
Yeah.
So bear with us for just 1 second, folks. I'm gonna borrow the screen sharing device just for a moment. Mr. Park, stand by. I just want to very quickly say hi to our guests, and this is also maybe stalling if we have any stragglers that are joining up late. Folks, welcome. If you don't know anything at all about our school, Mercer County Technical Schools is an amazing place. We've been in business for 52 years, and I feel blessed to be able to call it my place of employment. I want to discuss just a few things. All of the programs that are here at the SIPEC Center or the Assenpink Center, we refer to them as shared time programs. We also have full-time classes. If you're in 8th grade, you can apply at that time. But today we're hoping to see applications from 10th and 11th graders. A long time ago, you had to choose between going to college or going to the tech school. That is not the case anymore. You really, really can do both. In fact, most of our programs offer college credit. Best of all, you can still participate in all your after-school activities because you spend half the day with us and half the day back at your home school getting your academics and your graduation requirements. The programs are really, really fun. People love coming here. And I just want to show you some of the other programs. There's Auto Tech Fundamentals. That's Mr. Park's class. That class is a blast, and Mr. Park is an amazing teacher, as you'll see in just a few minutes. All of these programs are available on our website, as well as videos about the programs. So please do go to our website, which is www.mcts.edu. Here's where you apply, and you can always talk to your guidance counselor, because if they're a Mercer County guidance counselor, chances are they know a lot about our programs. Last but not least, I'll encourage you to check us out on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all of those different platforms. Listen to our podcast, the MCTS Experience, as well as our other podcast, the Principal's Office. And again, go to that website, mcts.edu, for videos, application information. Say that again, Mr. And without any further ado, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague and friend and the 2018 Teacher of the Year, Mr. Billy Park. Take it away, sir.
I forgot that was 18 already. Good gracious. Well, hello, everyone. I am Mr. Park, and I do teach Auto Tech Fundamentals. And I get one major question asked every time, and Auto Tech Fundamentals, why is it not Auto Tech? Why is it got to be Fundamentals? And look, the main reason is very simple. I teach the same curriculum as the Auto Tech class. The only difference between us is he has a much bigger shop than I do. He's got the big TV. I got the little TV. And that's really the only big difference. And, that's the number one question people ask me all the time. So I plan on today to show you a safety inspection that all technicians are going to have to do when they go out in the field. One of the major jobs that any technician is going to do is a very boring basic oil change that it's not the most fun and exciting job to do, but it's the most necessary job because it is a maintenance item, and maintenance is key in keeping your cars running for a long period of time. So every time a car comes in, I teach my kids here that they have to do a safety inspection. And ours range. Some are like 20-point inspections, some are slightly higher, some can even be a little bit lower. But I'm just going to do a general safety inspection today on a car. I did bring in a 2008 Toyota Prius. It belongs to a friend of mine. He's rather comical, and he wanted me to look it over. So this is a win-win for everybody. And it's a hybrid, so it's another little safety feature. I got to show you what you can and cannot look at or even touch, especially in a hybrid car because of the high voltage of an electric car. Okay, this is a hybrid, so it's half electric and half gasoline. A couple tools that we're going to use is right here, this little bad bear. This is a tire depth gauge. I got to read how much tread's left on the tires. That's what that one's for. Oh, this is a good one. This is a rainbow effect one. This right here, this is a measuring tool to tell me how thickness of the brake pads or brake shoes I have left. That's always a good one. And my other one right here is my trusty one that everybody should have, tire pressure gauge. I set some tire pressures because right now with the cold winter and all of a sudden it warms up and then cools back down again, tire pressures fluctuate and everybody gets that annoying light on the dashboard. Mr. Orphan knows all about that one. So I'm going to switch over from my laptop to my phone. So give me 1 second and then I'm going to take you around on a tour of the car.
Good. We'll stall for you, Mr. Park. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Very nice.
Just like that. Doesn't take me long at all. Okay, so. Well, I don't hear myself twice. That is the worst. All right, so I'm going to turn the camera around, get it off of me, and show you what we're working with here. So this is my shop.
Oh,
you can see right here I got a little 4-bay action. So that's bay 1 down there. I got bay 2 right here, bay 3 with our new alignment machine, portable alignment machine. Very awesome. And this is right here, bay number 4. This is what we're going to work on today. It's a 2008 Toyota Prius. It has roughly about 105,000 miles on it right now. I actually drove in like a dream. It felt pretty sturdy for the most part, but we're going to go through some different items of what we're looking at. And like I said before, this safety check is based on doing an oil change. So right off the bat, look down here. This is our dipstick for oil to check our oil in the car. I don't have to do that because I just did oil change on it and I know it's full right now. So, and this safety check is part of an oil change. So that's why I'm not pulling that out right now. But I did pull out the air filter. And if you notice, this is the top side of the air filter, okay? Goes right in here inside the air box. Hello, air box. But I pulled it out to show you. The top side doesn't look too bad. When you flip it over, we get a little grimy, okay? And if I look really close, you can see all the debris that's stuck inside each fin of the air filter, which is not good for the car. The car wants to be able to breathe. Can you imagine trying to put this over your face and breathe? You wouldn't be able to get any air in your body, which wouldn't be good. Same thing with a car. You don't want a dirty air filter. It's not good for it. So I'm definitely going to recommend that we replace the air filter on this car. Put that on the checklist. Something important I want to show you right here. This
Mr.
is the
Park,
hybrid.
Mr.
Yes,
Park,
sir.
hang out for 1 second.
Sure.
The picture just went away. I don't know if Mr. Sikowski can see that. But the oh, excuse me. For some reason, it must be just on my end. I apologize. But can I ask a quick air filter question, Mr. Park?
Absolutely.
When I go to one of those like a Jiffy Lube type of place, right? I feel like every time they go, they tell me to replace that air filter. And I wonder, I've always thought, why do they always ask me to do this? It's like $30 or $40. Is that baloney, or is that an important thing that needs to be done?
No, it's a very important thing. Like I said, can you imagine putting a dirty mask over your face and trying to breathe through it if it's completely clogged? How would you get any air into your body?
That's true. And we've been wearing masks for a year, and it's not fun, but we have to do it.
Correct.
So, all right.
Correct. And most cars actually have 2 filters, one air for the engine, and there's another cabin filter that goes inside the car. Most vehicles have a cabin filter, not every single one, but it's another one that's neglected. And if you take it somewhere, most places will pull that out and check it and do the same thing we just did with the air filter and see if it is clogged.
No kidding. All right. Thank you.
No problem. All right. So I'm going to come back over here. So this right here, this big chunky box, this is part of our hybrid system. This is the electronic side or the electric side for a hybrid car. So remember, a hybrid car, it runs on half electric and half gas powered. So if I come up to a stoplight in this car, it'll literally shut off. And when you first start driving, it's a little weird. They're not really quite used to it, but that's the whole point of it. This is a vehicle that's meant to get you 50 miles to the gallon on gas, and sometimes a little bit more, because we run a hybrid system. But the most important thing to notice is right here. See this orange? Okay, here's one right here, and there's another one back over here. There's actually 2 back here. One way back there, but there's another one right here. See? So big thing I tell my students is when you're dealing with a hybrid car, you want to stay clear of the orange wires because they are high voltage wires. Okay. Um, some of these systems I've seen run upwards of 25,000 volts. And to give you perspective, a normal outlet in your house is about 110, 115 volt system. These can run up to anywhere near like 25,000 volts. So we want to stay away from those as much as possible. Okay. So we're going to come over here. Oh, and I did look through the engine compartment. The only thing I really found was just the air filter. I did check his wipers as well, and his wipers seem to be really good actions. They're not smearing on the windshield when you spray them. They went up, they came back down, no chattering. The rubber's in really good shape, so we're not going to recommend replacing wipers at this time. That all looks pretty good. So now we're going to come down here, and I've already taken the wheels off. I already did set the tire pressures because I did the oil change, and that's part of the deal. I am going to show you how to measure tire depth in 1 second, but I want to come down here and show you this. This right here, this is our brake rotors. This is what stops, is part of the system that stops your vehicle. This is a caliper right here, and in here, we can see right there, this action, that's your brake pad. That does a lot of braking power in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my fancy tool, because I like my fancy tool and I like colors. My fancy tool right here will tell me how much brake pad material I have left before I have to get it replaced. Okay. Obviously, green is good, yellow is okay, and red's bad. We don't like red. Red means we need to replace. Okay. So when I measure this one out, it turns out that it's the third green one right here, thickness-wise, which means the brake pads are practically brand new on this car. So we don't have to really worry about them at all. Plus, there was no vibration when I was hitting the brakes coming in. And the rotors over there, overall themselves look pretty good, shiny, and there's no grooves in them. They're just some lines, but there is no grooves in the rotor. That's also good in itself. And while I'm down here, I'm also going to start looking at the steering components. This is our outer tie rod end. It's got a little ball joint down here. And everything in here looks nice and tight. This is our sway bar link. Links our suspension system to the sway bar here. It helps us keep us level for making turns. That all looks pretty good. And right up here, that right there, oh, that's nice. That right there, my friends, that's what we call a strut assembly, okay? It's basically like a giant shock absorber, and what it does is it controls the bounce in the vehicle when you're going down the road. So this part right here is actually your strut, or we also call them shock absorbers. That all looks pretty good. But the main reason is very simple. Up here, we have a spring, and we can see right here that this boot, called a dust boot, and it is torn and shredded. It's supposed to cover this nice, shiny silver rod right here that's part of the shock absorber. So this right here is just a dust boot. I will recommend that we replace these at one point, but it's not something that's a safety recall at this point. But it will be recommended to the customer that we should replace these dust boots at one time. Okay, now we're going to move over to the tires, which I have stacked up right here. So if we look at the tires, this right here is my rear tire. This tire right here was one that was on the front. And what I'm going to look is, I'm going to look to see how much tires left in this groove right here. And to do that, I bust out a little fancy tool again. Ta-da! Tire depth gauge. What's nice about this is, I can push this down and it will give me a reading. I might not be able to see it on the camera. Too blurry. But it'll tell me how much tire thickness is left for a brand new tire to use tire. And what happens is you want to stick it in this groove, you want to push down, and then it's going to give me a reading. Oh, now you can see it. There we go. So it tells me I have about just under 10-30 seconds of the tire. Really, really good. It's almost like a brand new tire. I'm going to check this one as well. Just slightly lower. This one's about an 30 seconds. So it's got a little wear and tear on that bad bear. But overall, tires are in good shape. Like I said, I already set the tire pressures in these. Sidewalls look pretty good, no bubbles. And if we can see a bubble on the sidewalls because they hit a pothole or hit a curb at one time and they ruptured the belt on the side, which means it's not good for the tire. We wouldn't recommend replacing that. But all these tires look pretty good. There was no real bubbles in them. Overall, pretty good. Now we're going to move to the back. Back here, we have our drum brake system. There she is. She's a beaut. I've already taken the drum off the car to save the noise hammering in the head. And I wanted to look at this, and if I look all around, all the components look nice and tight. I don't see any major rust issues. I don't see any leaks. This is our wheel cylinder right here. Brake fluid comes in here and pushes it outside. We slow the car down. No leaks. If I see any fluid move underneath here, I want to figure out why it's leaking. Usually the wheel cylinder goes bad, but these all look pretty good. Now what I would look at is I'm going to look at the actual brake shoe itself. And if you look right here, I'm looking at the different material. See, here's my brake shoe metal that holds the shoes on, and this is the friction material that will slow the car down. It's not too bad. It looks pretty good for a drum brake system. I'm going to measure that out. See what we get. If I measure it out, looks like we're going to get about that. That right there's about 4 millimeters left on the shoes, which are really pretty good for a drum brake system. Drum brakes don't need to be replaced as often as the front brake system on a disc brake. They last quite a bit longer. You usually find them in the rears of cars. But they look pretty good. If I look over the rest of the suspension back here, I got some surface rust going on, but there's a bushing in here already checked. Looks pretty darn good. Come over this way. My brake lines don't look good. I have a little bit of surface rust, but again, nothing's leaking. Okay, everything looks nice and tight. The rubber side looks pretty good. I don't see any leaks in here as well. Come back here to my rear strut assembly. Same thing, it acts like a shock absorber, controls the movement of your car up and down. And this spring right here is what holds the weight of the car up off the ground. And we notice that the spring's in really good shape. The shock absorber or strut is also in really good shape. Its dust boot cover is in really good shape, nice and tight. So this whole system back here is really good to go.
Is this, Mr. Park, is this because this owner of this car does a good job taking care of it, or is he just lucky, or are the Priuses built well? What do we attribute this to?
I attribute to the combination of a lot, really. Customer, my customer's really finicky. He's very picky about his cars, but his cars are always super clean. Because he does maintain them quite often. You know, if he hears something or something doesn't feel right, he'll give me a call. He'll be like, "Oh, Mr. Park, can you come look at this?" Not a problem. I'll come scope it out, and then we'll go from there. So it's really a combination of both. But Toyota Priuses, they're pretty darn good cars. And from what I'm hearing right now, by year 2025, every manufacturer, that's Chevy, Honda, Toyota, every manufacturer that makes a car has to make a hybrid car in their fleet.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, wow. By 2025. Yep. It's coming around pretty quick if you think about it.
Yes, sir.
So if we look back at the car here, so same thing. I already checked out this side, and again, it's just like the other side. This is the front of the car. It looks exactly the same. I did the same measurement tools with the tires on this one here, as well as the rear as well. I did the same measurements just like I did on the other side of the car. So overall, this car's got 105,000 miles on it. And one of the other things that we do is we want to look up to see what the service table tells us. Okay. I'll put this down here. I bet you can see it. So this is a service table. This is what Toyota recommends at different mileages. And if you look, 105,000 miles, they have a service. And if you go down, you can see what they want you to do. They want you to inspect the air filter. Okay, and when they say that, that means they want you to check it out and see if it needs it. And we know, looking at that air filter right there, we want a new one. Okay, then we go down, we check all this, the ball joints and all these different components. And we did. Well, I went down through earlier and checked most of these components out, and I did show you some of them, but it shows you. Now, obviously, this one right here, replace engine oil. So that one right there is key. And I did do an oil change to this car because it was due for an oil change as well. But they do have these different service mileages. You can see the different mileage. They go by 105, 110. They usually go by 5,000 increments on this car. And what they recommend to replace. And then they'll tell you when they want you to replace it. So at 120,000 miles, they want you to replace the cabin air filter. Now, you can go back and replace it beforehand if you've missed a service or if you find out it's super dirty. If you park underneath a tree all the time, here's a killer for people. It's a good one. If you park underneath a tree all the time, this right here is a vent system. See all this debris? See this here? Now, there was a lot more here. I already scooped most of it out, but this is just what's left. But see all this debris? Well, eventually it will crumble up, and when it crumbles up, it'll go right through this grate. And on the other side here is the inlet for the cabin air filter, the air that you breathe inside the car. So if you don't clean that little top cow piece out with all the leaves and pine needles. Pine needles are the worst. Or those little flying, I don't know what you call them, the little flying wishy things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Pinocchio nose.
Oh, yeah, those things, woo, they're even worse. They get stuck on that filter, and the next thing you know, you get this horrible smell inside your car. Nobody likes that horrible smell. So that happens too, and happens quite often, more than you think. So, and that's really what a safety check is all about. And every mechanic that comes in here, and I teach my kids this every time you do an oil change, you will set the tire pressures and you will do a safety check on every car. Because most people don't understand about a car. They want to get in it, drive it, and go from point A to point B, but nobody really understands how a car actually works. Not a problem. It's my job as the doctor of a car, because really, that's what we are. We're doctors of a car. It's my job to point out what's obvious. So if I see something obvious, man, I will tell that customer in a heartbeat, hey, look, Exhibit A here, this air filter is terrible. We need to replace this because, the engine's starving of air. We don't want that to happen. Because believe it or not, it could be like a spiral effect, and then something else can go bad. So we want to try to cut that off at the overpass by doing the maintenance to a car. And that's why we try to do these safety checks every time the oil change comes in. And that right there, Mr. Orff, is pretty much a safety check.
That's really, really cool, Mr. Park. I didn't realize that these many things had to be looked at and all that went into a safety check like that, or that they spelled it out for you. You have kids who participate in Skills USA, right?
Yes, sir, I do.
Is that the type of a competition? Do they ever do something like that, or is that one of the competitions?
It is. A safety check on the car is part of one of the competitions for automotive.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So any students out there listening, Skills USA is where we go up against a whole bunch of other high schools from all over the state and eventually the nation. And that is what Mr. Park just did is an example of one of the competitions. That's very cool. Anything you want to, Mr. Sikowski, any questions out there in TV land for us?
TV land.
I know we're not. I know we're not on TV. Folks, I'm going to stall with Mr. Park and keep him here just another minute or two. So if you do have a question, go ahead and type it in the chat and send it to Mr. Sikowski, and he'll read it out loud. He'll read your question on the air, live with Bill Park, with Dr. Park, the car doctor.
Hey, we tell the kids that all the time. The best case scenario is when you don't feel good, what happens? You go to the doctors, right? Doctor prescribes you something. Oh, you got a cold, take this pill, a couple hours, you'll be feeling better, right? Same thing happens to us. When the car comes in here, we got to diagnose it, we got to repair it, and we got to get it on the road again. And it's got to be 100% because don't forget, these people will drive down the highway at least 80 miles an hour down 295 is my guess.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
You got to be very careful what you do, and you got to be darn good at what you do as well because you are taking someone's life in your hand at that point.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Anything you would say to someone who's considering the auto tech program at Mercer County Technical Schools?
Yes. So I'll give you a perfect example. I'm what you call the oddball out of the box. I believe it or not, I wanted to go to tech school for high school. And in 8th grade, they came out of their presentation. I'm like, oh, that's it right there. That's what I want to do. I went home and told my mother about it, and my mom said no. Not once, not twice, at least a dozen times she said no. And did I get to go to tech school? Nope, not at all. No, you know what? And it was terrible. And we fast forward to I graduated high school, and then I told her I still want to do automotive. And she looks at me, she's like, I made a mistake. I'm like, what does that mean? And she's like, I should let you get a VOTEC. I'm like, yeah, that's what I wanted to do. But, everybody's got this perceptive that, VOTEC is for these bad kids. It's really not. It's just I'm not a book kind of guy. I'm not an academic kind of guy. I graduated high school, and I got really lucky in school. But I learned with my hands, and that's how I try to set up this class. It's all hands-on learning. And I got really lucky about 10 years later after turning wrenches. I got a chance to go back and finish my teaching degree out of college, and that I did.
We're glad you did, Mr. Park. We're really glad to have you with us. You do such a great job with the students, and Mercer County Technical Schools appreciates you. So do your kids.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I guess we're going to wrap it up here. If you have any questions, please do go to our website, mcts.edu. Apply now to either Auto Tech Fundamentals or any of the great programs on there. We have 19 different programs to choose from. Watch those videos, and if your car's having problems, bring it by the SIPEX Center to see Dr. Billy Park.
Thanks, Mr. Orff.
Thanks, everybody. We appreciate it. Come see us again next week. We'll be we're going to be working with next week's pop-up class will happen on a Thursday, and that'll be Thursday, March 4th. Thank you, Mr. Kasky. Thursday, March 4th, same time, different channel, and our HVAC instructor, Mr. Geis, will bring some cool information about HVAC. So tune into that Thursday, March 4th. Thanks, Mr. Park. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Have a great day, folks.